Listen, laugh, and learn with Sacha and Ish as they share their experiences, thoughts, and tips to build skills that are not so average and a career that's not so ordinary. This is the Not So Breakfast Show.
All right, welcome to the Not So Breakfast Show today, the podcast for leadership and career development. And today we're talking about the Olympics. We are getting our Olympics on, talking about stuff we've seen, things we've learnt, and then we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about that. Really, what's your favourite event at the Olympics, Sash? And let me frame it this way. If you could win a gold medal in something at the Olympics, what discipline would you choose?
Okay, so let me clarify the question. Is it which sport do I have the most chance of being able to win a medal in? Or if I was sufficiently gifted and had worked hard enough, what medal would I want to win?
Correct, the second. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I would either want to be the all-round gymnastics champion. Simone Biles is just like legend. Yeah. I would also love to win the tennis. I mean, tennis is the world's best sport, hands down.
Yeah.
However, imagine being the 100-meter champion. Imagine that, or the marathon. Like, I only want to win the big marquee, like the true GOAT sort of events.
I think I would go pole vault because I would feel like I've won the genetic lottery, because I don't know if you've noticed, but all pole vaulters are excruciatingly hot.
They are pretty good. I mean, did you see the guy the other day who knocked off the bar with his dick? That was pretty funny. Did you see it? He came up, he came over, and clearly that's what knocked it off. And the commentators were like, well, yes, he appears to have just nudged that with the, and you can see them like grasping for we could all see clearly what it was. It was like with the lower half of his body, he's knocked that off. So I did also see a woman who'd set the world record for pole vault for the over 90 category.
Over 90?
And over 90. So she runs towards it. She's got the bar and she's, no kidding, she's jumping perhaps maybe about my chest height. So what's that, like a meter? Maybe she's jumped. And I was like, well, that's a bit ridiculous. And I thought about it and I thought, I don't know that I could pole vault a meter. I could jump a meter, but I'm not sure the actual pole vault of like holding on and then pushing yourself over it. I'm like, I need to give that 90-year-old woman a little more respect.
Yeah.
Incredible. I have spent some time thinking about, and I don't know if you have, like, what would you win if something that you could be the best at the world at was at the Olympics?
Right.
So it's like, it's not Olympics. So for me, for example, I could easily win a gold medal at not doing what I say I'm going to do. Like saying, I'll just watch one episode and go to bed. And before I know it, I've binged the entire season. If they were giving out gold medals for that, I would win. I mean, is there anything else that you're like, I'm pretty sure I'm like best at the world at this?
I reckon I'm best in the world at making the predator noise.
You are exceptional. Go.
All right, here we go. I'll go up to the microphone. So I'll go up to the microphone.
Oh, that is, yeah. I award you the gold medal right now.
Very useful.
Excellent.
Yeah. I opened the leadership camp the other day and they had to say what their most unimpressive superpower was.
Oh.
And so some were saying like they have a really unusual sense of smell so they can tell if someone's touched their dog. But yeah, mine was the predator noise. That's my unimpressive superpower.
I think that's pretty cool. I'm giving you a gold medal for that.
Well, we are talking about all things Olympics, and one of the things that, we'll get into, maybe talk about coaching and the Olympics and something a little bit more substantial, but I just can't stop watching the memes that are coming out from the Turkish shooter. So this guy, just if you haven't seen it, right, he literally just puts his hand in his pocket, pulls out his gun, points it at the target, and he ends up getting the silver. And everybody else is competing with eye patches and special equipment, everything. This guy literally looks like he's been packing that thing, just walking around, and someone's accused him, and he go, oh, yeah, no, I'll give it a go.
I had hoped it was his first Olympics, but he's been there before. He has form for doing this, right? It's not the first time that he's been. But I have a Turkish friend, and I said, look, is this guy your brother? He's clearly a serial killer. And Emrah came back and said, no, he's an assassin, and it's my cousin. I mean, he has been in the Turkish army. There's just something so cool and nonchalant about the way he just stands there, points the gun, shoots, I'll take the silver and go home. It's
I think it was
awesome.
like Gen X versus Millennial versus Gen Z. There was some pretty funny comments about it, but yeah, it's just so casual, eh?
I was watching the archery, and what happens when you watch it on TV is it foreshortens, so you can't tell how far away the target is. You see them pull the bow and arrow, and then you see it hit the target, and you go, "Oh yeah, how hard can it be?" And then I saw the wide shot. I mean, that target is, technical words, miles away from where they are. I was like, that's the angle we need to see more often, because now I had this new perspective where I was like, oh, okay, not going to be winning that anytime soon.
Yeah, it is amazing just seeing the levels of performance that are coming out. And of course, the big topic at the moment is the enhanced games that is going to be coming. So
yeah.
Drugged up to the gills, I think, was one of the quotes from one of the swimmers. So you're at your peak, you've done the Olympics, but you might not get another one. Do you make the choice to just go, well, $1 million, I'll take some drugs. Let's see what we can do.
Got to die of something, right?
Exactly. And haven't they done some research into athletes and kind of go, if you could win the gold, but it shortens your life expectancy, how many would take that? And a few of them were opting for that option, right? Because it's the thing that they do, right? They're in there to compete, to be the best. But yeah, enhanced games is very interesting and going to be very topical when it comes out.
Well, I've been reading this article about Katie Ledecky. So she's one of the greatest women swimmers of all time. She's won multiple golds. She's like the American Michael Phelps is the equivalence there, except that she's not like Michael Phelps at all. So Michael Phelps is this remarkable athlete who has physiological advantage in terms of his ability to absorb lactic acid. His wingspan is abnormally large. His feet are abnormally large. He has all these physical attributes that make him predisposed to be an exceptional swimmer. Katie Ledecky, she got a new coach in the early 2012, 16, around those times, after the London Games. And this new coach took her to the US Olympic Fitness Training Center and ran all these tests on her. And the judgment was she is remarkably unremarkable. So apart from the obvious ability to deal with lactic acid, which is what swimmers have to do in terms of put their body through it, she doesn't have any physical advantages that would mean that she is predisposed to be an exceptional swimmer. So obviously her mental game is incredibly strong. So that was one aspect. But the second thing, and this is what I found was perhaps really useful for us thinking about what are the lessons from the Olympics that come across into everyday life. And that is that she loves swimming. She loves swimming. So when she was only training 6 days a week, she started to get these Monday blues because she hadn't been in the pool on the Sunday. She takes great delight in perfecting her technique. So she is genuinely interested in, where do I put my little finger for the whole time. And there's this fantastic clip you can see of her online where she swims a length and she has a glass of chocolate milk on her head. So she puts the glass of chocolate milk on her head, swims a length, it does not wobble. She takes it off once she gets to the other end and drinks it. So you imagine the extraordinary balance and poise that she has. So she loves swimming for the sake of swimming. She loves being in the water.
I'm assuming she's not doing butterfly.
Yeah, well, not at that stage. No, she was doing freestyle. But so many high performers, and you think about Andre Agassi as one example, they end up hating the sport. They have this real twisted relationship with it because they were pushed into it too soon, or they are competing out of deficit. Their parents didn't love them enough, or they were pushed, or there's someone's approval they're seeking, or they're battling their demons, or they're addicted to exercise instead of being addicted to drugs, or whatever. Like there's this darkness in them that haunts them and chases them. She's just someone who loves swimming. And I was thinking about sometimes what we do in our careers is we're pursuing things and we want to achieve and we want to get there and we want to do it and we drive ourselves, but it doesn't come from this place of joy. and how sweet it is when we find things that we can do in our professional life that actually come from joy, and we enjoy the work. And when it gets hard, we go, oh, I like it when it's like this. And I think that's such a gift, to find something that is hard, but that you enjoy the hardness of it. The challenge of it is part of the buzz. Yeah, and I want this. I want that for us all, because that must be such a better way to live than being someone who's like, oh, I've got to go to the pool again, or I'm going to not win. It's. I think it was an incredible sort of insight into her way of being.
We'll be right back.
If there was one skill that could double your income, advance your career, and increase your ability to influence, it is the skill of presenting. Whether it's on stage, in the boardroom, or at a job interview, the 30-minute presenter program will help take you to the next level. So check out our Instagram page, click the link in the bio, and get started on the 30-minute presenter program. Yeah, I love that. Like you said, so she didn't have that genetic predisposition, so nothing outside the ordinary, but that discipline and love for it. But I guess when you combine that with maybe a genetic predisposition for something, that's where we sometimes see those really extraordinary performances come out, where you just are the right athlete at the right time, or you've just got that body type. And when you look at some athletes, they definitely have the body type. Right, the runners, the pole vaulters, the gymnasts, there's a certain body type that you probably go, at some point you were, if you loved it, you were always going to end up in that sport. Like, what do they say? Did you choose the sport, or did the sport choose you? So do you love it because you were good at it and you were good enough, so you had enough physicality to do it, or you had the high level performance, so therefore you were good at it? But then also the fact that you might have been good at it but hated it and were bullied into performing at a high level. Not that we would look at any country in any way around athletes.
No country in particular springs to mind.
That might be pushing athletes to their breaking. But maybe this is a good time to talk about the women's boxing, because that obviously is highly
you
topical.
Want to go there? Okay.
I want to go there, yeah. I mean, it's been a really interesting time watching it play out on social media.
Don't make me cancel you, Ish. I'm really looking forward to what comes next.
No, but, so you've got someone who has been accused of being male and misinterpreted in social media as being a man when they were not born a man. They are genetically a woman. The way the media were portraying it at the beginning, it was like man beats woman in boxing final. And we saw that play out in the way that the Italian boxer, I think it was the Italian boxer, had reacted, in the way that she was being hit. Never been hit that hard in my life. But actually what's coming out now is the evidence that she is female, was born female, has always competed as a female. And so it's really interesting that she was being judged as a man in social, and everyone just jumped on the bandwagon. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon and just attacked, right?
For me, there's a couple of things that come out of this. It's always the check-in that goes, I'm just going to ask a few more questions before I get angry. And so I try and do that about everything. So when I find myself getting fired up about something, I'm like, let's just find out how true this is. So who is trying to get me to see things in a particular way? So as soon as you did just a modicum of research about this boxer, you understand that she comes from a Muslim country where there is no way that you can live a transgendered life. It's not a thing. You find out that she was born a woman as a woman. You find out that the boxing federation that banned her is some dodgy Russian one who has been banned by the International Boxing Association. You find out that they won't release any of the tests that they've supposedly run. You find out that this woman's boxed in Tokyo, and no one, because she got beaten in Tokyo, no one had anything to cry about at that stage. So without even passing judgment about how do you deal with varying levels of testosterone in sport, and it may well be an issue. You may say, well, that gives a genetic advantage that is more unfair than a basketball player being tall. So is it analogous to say, you're 7 foot, that's not fair. Michael Phelps, you've got big feet, that's not fair. Michael Phelps, your heart works in a particular way, that's not fair. So I think there are some legitimate questions to be asked about fairness. but not just across levels of testosterone. There was a very kind of well-known British decathlete years ago called Fatima Whitbread, and she was very masculine presenting. And we just went, great, look at her go. It's amazing. So there's so much that's been politicized about what's happening right now that the check-in for me is before I go to share anything, I just pause. And before I get outraged about something, I say, I'm just going to ask a few more questions about this. I'm going to find out a little bit more. I'm not going to jump to assumptions or assuming everything, and just recognizing that not all fights are my fights. And I don't mean that in terms of boxing. I mean in terms of who is best placed to be deciding these issues, and it's not me. And if lots of the issues around transgender issues has been, well, we need to police what's in people's pants. So this woman literally has everything you've asked her to have in her pants. Oh, no, but we're now having a new criteria. And it may well be a legitimate conversation to have, but it needs to be had in a legitimate scientific way, not in, oopsie, the world's just gone mad, and getting fired up and enraged about, about all kinds of things. Lots to discuss, I think, but let's be dealing with it on the basis of facts, not on the basis of misinformation. I think that's the watch out for me.
Yeah, and maybe as a learner, that we can pull out into working life and career is, those times where you hear something is the sense check. It might be something extreme. It might be something that is not extreme and it just slips under the radar. You kind of go, oh, that's interesting. I hadn't thought that before, but it's actually misinformation. And now you've got a thought in your head about someone or a situation that really was a throwaway comment that probably wasn't even true, but it sits there. So then what happens later on is something comes up and you reference it. So it's always those sense checks for information, for experiences. Is this real? Is this correct? Is this true? Is this helpful? Is it kind? Like all of those times to just sense check what is going on so that when you do have to answer or have an opinion on something, you've got a balanced view of the facts, or at least as many of the facts as you can have.
And you can also just say, I don't know enough about it to comment intelligently on it.
Yeah.
That's a really simple, easy thing to answer as well. I just don't know enough about that.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting. That sounds something like I might want to know a bit more about. I can imagine saying that. Like whoever says that these days. I'll tell you, no one.
No.
There's one other thing that I love about women's boxing, and that is when you see women going for it, where they're trying to knock each other out, I think we do have a response to this where we go, I'm not sure about this. And what I like about that is that I don't think men should box either. I'm like, how is it a sport that we celebrate where the objective is to knock your opponent out, which is to give them such a significant head injury that they may suffer permanent damage? Like, why do we even allow that? And I think sometimes because we tend to think of women as being a little bit softer or whatever than men, and you can imagine how much I rebel against that notion. Yep. I still am confronted by women boxing, but I've never liked men's boxing either. Now, that might make me, I don't know, prudish or conservative, I don't know. And the response to that can often be, well, you might hit your head if you fall off a bicycle. You might get concussion if you're playing rugby. It's dangerous to be a diver if you hit the water in the wrong way. And I'm like, yes, that's an acknowledged risk. It's not the point of the sport, right? When the literal point of the sport is to do that kind of physical damage to another person, I'm thinking maybe it shouldn't be in the Olympics at all. And I think that's worth thinking about.
The other thing I've been thinking about with the Olympics and enjoying is just the different perspectives and involvement of the coaches. So I've been doing quite a bit of coach training and coaching at the moment and kind of drawing some analogies out on the different styles depending on the sport or the discipline. So I've worded it as you've got passive coaching at the Olympics, and then you've got active coaching. So passive coaching is your coach is there, but you've done the work, they've done the work, and it's pretty much up to you on the day, right? So you're in the boat, you're doing the race, or you are the triathlete and you're running. There's no coach beside you saying, I think you should lengthen your stride or anything like that, right? But then you've got active coaching. So the sports like basketball, some of even the gymnastics kind of stuff where they're literally got their coaches on the side.
The field events. They knock over the high jump, they run for the coach, and the coach said, jump a bit higher.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's way more active, and especially in something like basketball where the coaches are literally calling the plays. So they're involved in those key clutch moments. They're involved in the minutes, the seconds. They're saying the ball needs to go here. We're going to do this play. They're orchestrating also what's happening. But I think sometimes in our job environment, we might default to passive. I've trained them. I've given them what they need. I'm just going to let them go, and they'll come and tell me if it's not working out. Or you're at the end of the time and it either worked or it didn't. But I think there's times where we need to be more active in our coaching. The hours, the day-to-day, the week by week, the check-ins. Are you performing at your best? What can we do? What do you need? Dealing with limiting beliefs, all of that kind of stuff.
I think in a work environment, we could do a lot more rehearsal and practice before we go into a situation, and that's a form of coaching. So let's say you are pitching to a particular client and your manager or someone who's helped you upskill in that area says, hey, I know you got that meeting at 2:00. Let's just talk through how we're going to go through it. Perhaps let's have a practice. I'll pretend to be the client. I'll ask you some tricky questions rather than I've trained you once in how to pitch. And so like say, off you go. It does remind me, though, of those like Cyrano de Bergerac romance novel movie ideas where somebody is like in the person's ear telling them what to say. And just imagine like you could sit under the desk of one of your sales team members, and as they're inviting someone to join the gym or to buy the car, you're under the desk going, ask now. Shh, be quiet. Sit with the tension. Ask again. Yeah. Ask again. Move the pen to the second option. No, you could actually have like live and active coaching. And that's obviously at the extreme end. But I think you're so right that we just kind of go, oh, we trained and so now we're done.
Yeah.
And is there an opportunity to be more active? I think it's a really good one. I think there's two sports in particular where I'm interested by this. The first one is if you think about equestrian, the horse is the athlete and the rider is the coach. Because the rider is going, okay, come on, over this one, pulling the reins and getting them what to do, right? We do not give the horses a medal. It's wrong, and I'm opposed. So just putting that out there. The second one that I was watching last night, and it really kind of shook me in terms of just how this is not a thing, and that is golf. So the caddies aren't coaches, but the caddies are a critical part of the team where the caddy goes, well, I think you've got 140 yards to the hole there, and I think we should use a 6-iron. And the player goes, okay, and does it. And yet it's just the player on the podium. I'm like, how is golf not a team sport for the Olympics where the caddy also gets some kind of acknowledgement? Because they are literally every shot along the way contributing to that. And then I was thinking, why don't we give the coaches medals as well anyway? Like your basketball example. That's the coach is a critical part calling the play. Who gets to be in that team versus the people that are, It sounds to me, Ish, that you and I need to completely transform the Olympics.
Well, two things from what you were saying. One, when you talked about romance books, I thought you were going to do something about role-playing the desperate housewife and the naughty pool boy. I was wondering if you're going there. And two, with the equestrian and the horse, did you know that the horses get to take like emotional support animal? Like they can have a goat with them on the plane to help them settle. They can travel with a goat.
I didn't know that.
I don't think it has to be a goat. I think a lot of the time it is a goat.
I like that a lot. That just makes me feel like happy.
Yeah, so you can feel better for the horses now.
Yeah, okay. I feel good about the way those horses get worked. Look, we're going to be cancelled big time. The horse lovers are going to be out in force. The gender critical people are going to be out in force. It's all on. What a way to go out. Gold medal for cancelling yourself on a podcast. Well done, Ish. I don't know about you, Ish, but because I've been watching so much gymnastics, I've just gotten into the habit is whenever I finish anything, I just go like this, like put my arm in the air and go, yeah, done. So I finished this Excel spreadsheet before and I looked around at work and I went, done. I want you to try it. Like if you finish the dishes tonight with the girls, just like pretend you've done a great dismount, both arms in the air, smile at the judges and then leave the room. See how that goes down with the family.
All right, I've finally seen it, Sash. Deadpool and Wolverine last night.
And?
It met and maybe exceeded my expectations.
Oh.
I was very happy. Yeah, I love Deadpool. I love Ryan Reynolds. I love Hugh Jackman. I love Wolverine. So Joe and I went, and it was quite funny because we were amazed at, even though it's an R16, the diverse age group that was there. So not young kids. There was only people that were 16 plus, or probably looked 16, but there was grandparents, there was families, there was a range of different people, and there was a lot of laughing going on because, oh my goodness, definitely don't go if you don't like Deadpool because it's full on Deadpool. Definitely don't go if you're easily offended. But if you love that kind of thing, yeah, man, it was pretty funny.
I love their, I've only seen the little Nickelback interaction, which was... which is golden.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know about you, Ish, but I'm feeling like the world is part of the reason we're loving the Olympics is we get a sense of unity. We get a sense, we see these athletes from all these different countries cheering each other on, being there for each other. It doesn't feel like a particularly hostile environment for many of these sports. The 100 metres, they finish their heat and it's all hugging and these guys travel together all around the world to different meets and things. So it's kind of like it's your crew. And I think we're hungry for that. I think we're hungry for the possibility that things might get a bit better because when we look around the world, there's lots of stuff that's pretty upsetting, that's pretty grim. So I think taking yourself to Deadpool and Wolverine, like people are hungry to laugh.
Yeah.
People want to laugh and find joy. And so I'm chasing the joy, chase the laughs, chase the things that make you feel good, chase the uplifting stories, the stories of redemption, the comebacks. And I think one of the things we're seeing in New Zealand is we've had a couple of people that have come second. And previously, I think in the past, we might have been a little bit disappointing. And I'm not sensing that so much. I think there's this real acknowledgement that if you are second in the world and you've come from a country of 5.5 million people, that's pretty bloody amazing and we're enormously proud and yay. That celebration is much deserved and I'm loving that for our people.